Super Mario Bros. Is a smash hit, way beyond industry expectations, but in being a non-political, family-friendly smash hit, this takes on a political dimension. Part of that dimension involves girl boss Peach, who, somewhat ironically, is the character which triggers a certain subset of activists the most. In this editorial, I'll begin by going through the second weekend box office, before continuing with why Peach of all characters is triggering the last people you'd expect, and what Hollywood has to learn from this. When it comes to the box office, the second weekend numbers, or rather the second weekend drop, is indicative of word of mouth and therefore audience approval, and in turn, how much a movie can be expected to gross over the course of its remaining run. When a movie has a very big or extended 5-day opening weekend, like Mario had, you can expect the second weekend drop to be significant, even with good word of mouth. It is therefore quite stunning that Mario's drop was only in the low 40s percentile, giving it the best second weekend of any animated movie ever. At this rate, the movie is guaranteed to fly past $1 billion with a comfortable margin. The only question is how far it will go. It is already the biggest movie of the year so far, wiping the floor with Marvel's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and I still think there's a very good chance this could end up becoming the biggest movie of the year, period. Regardless, this level of success is changing the industry as we speak, because Super Mario not only beat the snot out of the latest installment of the MCU, which it by rights should not have done, it also utterly humiliated both of Disney's animated features from last year, Strange World and Lightyear. Critics who attacked the movie for its lack of story did not see that coming, because they didn't understand that family audiences are starved for any blockbuster animated feature that doesn't spew ideological political propaganda at their kids, and Mario was just what the doctor ordered. If there was anything that could be construed as ideological or political in the movie, it was the girl bossness of Peach. This rubbed many in the audience the wrong way, but it worked out in the end, as Mario and Luigi were allowed to save the day. But some activists thought that was offensive. Leave it to the Mary Sue to directly counter common sense and public opinion. Case in point, their article is titled "Peach's character in Super Mario Bros. Movie is an all-too-common sexist trope." Well, let's see what they found to complain about. The article reads, "The Super Mario Bros. Movie tries to portray Princess Peach as a badass, instead of the helpless damsel in distress from the original Mario Bros. Games. We find out that she completed the obstacle course on her first try. She forms a plan to recruit the Kong army to stop Bowser. She rides a motorcycle." Some snark there. You'd think a publication like the Mary Sue would appreciate this, but now the article's author gets into the problem. "After my family and I left the theater though, something about Peach didn't sit right with us. Even aside from the Mario Bros. Movie's many problems, we realized that we'd all seen this character trope before." Lady, I don't believe this "we" stuff for 1 second. I am guessing you went with your parents, and they probably had to work to pay for your bullshit education, so you probably only speak for yourself in plural when you describe this trope as just as problematic in this film as it is everywhere else. Then we get to the real problem, the badass female sidekick and the average male lead. The author of the piece continues. "Way back in my grad school days, when I was earning my Master of Fine Arts, one of our professors told us to avoid a common problem in our storytelling. This problem starts with a female character. Everything about her, her smarts, her strength, her ability, seems to set her up to take the lead in the story. Suddenly though, a guy swoops in out of nowhere and takes the job away from her. She's infinitely more qualified than he is, but for some mysterious reason, she can't be allowed to do it herself. Her job is to train and support him instead."
They took our job!
Ah, I see the problem. Don't write her such an overpowered, unlikable Mary Sue in the first place then. Let her work for a solution and the reader will root for her. Problem solved. Can I have my Masters of Fine Arts now? Because I seem to have found a better solution to the problem than your professor did. Either that, or you misunderstood what your professor was trying to tell you. Either way, the author of the piece sees a different problem here than I do. So not that Peach was instantly perfect at everything, but that she wasn't quite perfect enough. The Mary Sue evidently feels that Peach should not have needed no man. She should have been girl boss enough to sort everything out for herself, using her Wonder Ray Palpatine plot armor and Deus Ex Machina superpowers. No need for Mario in a Super Mario Bros. Movie when you have Super Peach. The piece continues and demonstrates that the author cannot possibly have seen any movies made this past decade by saying, "The fact that we had to be warned off of this trope in a fiction workshop shows how easy it is to fall into. Thanks to sexism, both storytellers and audiences are trained to see men as the only candidates for heroism." Again, I think there's a slight possibility you just might have misunderstood what your professor was trying to tell you, but either way, I'm sure Universal, Nintendo, and Illumination will all be saddened by the Mary Sue's harsh words. They will surely all be crying all the way to the bank. The reason I bring up this Mary Sue article is because the mindset presented in it is indicative of the mindset in Hollywood in the last few years. The author of that piece is an example of the kind of audience Disney, Amazon, and every other woke producer in every woke company has been making movies and TV for these past few years. However, this particular audience deviates from the general audience in a number of ways, and all of those ways can be summarized like this: they are crazy. And to normal people, which is what most of the general audience around the world consists of, content made to appease the crazy is also crazy. That's why Super Mario is this rousing success. After almost every other family movie of the last few years was something made by crazy people for crazy people, everyone flocks to the comparative normality of the Super Mario Bros. Here's to hoping that this data point is one Hollywood takes seriously. Do you think they will? And what do you think about Mario's success? Let me know in the comments.